Everybody is doing well this evening. We're going to call the meeting to order. It is 7 p.m. on August 6, 2024, and I hope you felt welcomed as you came in by our Leisure Services Director, Robert Carolyn, and our Police Captain, Chris Roos, who served as greeters tonight. I'd like to introduce the folks who are sitting up in front of you. To my right, your left, we have recording secretaries, Taylor Lockhart and Ashley Clements. Next on the dais is City Clerk Susan Dodderis. Then we have Zone 1 Commissioner Lori Tolland.
Good evening, everyone. Great to see you all.
Zone 2 Commissioner Travis Sargent.
Good evening and welcome.
To my left and your right, Zone 3 Commissioner Susan Persis.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome.
And then our Deputy Mayor and Zone 4 Commissioner Harold Briley.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome.
Rounding out the dais is City Manager Joyce Shanahan, Assistant City Manager Sean Finley, City Attorney Randy Hayes, and then way to my left and way to your right by the windows, we have Police Chief Jesse Godfrey and Fire Chief Howard Bailey. For those of you listening online, I'm Mayor Bill Partington, and if you would please silence your cell phones at this time and rise for the invocation given by Reverend Jason Hefner, Lighthouse Christ Presbyterian Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen. I invite you to pray with me. God our Lord, you are the maker, the ruler, and the perfecter of all things, the giver of every blessing. We acknowledge you and we commend to you our community of Ormond Beach, that we may dwell together securely in your peace. I give these men and women vested with authority and all of us here this evening your gifts of wisdom and courage so that we may discern your will and do it. Give us a vision that we are the servants of your people as lovers of truth and justice. Amen. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Pastor Hefner, thank you for being here tonight. Jason is my pastor at Christ Presbyterian Church, and just a fun fact, Navy veteran, is that correct? With years of service, thank you for that. And also from a little town called Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, City Manager Shanahan, so I know you're familiar with that area. We're going to get you guys together, you can share war stories, but it's a great city. Joyce, you were there back when the Steelers were still, okay.
Good.
Nice. Good stuff. But really, thank you for being here. It's nice to have a professional start our meetings, and you did a great job. So, audience remarks. Tonight we start with Ike Leary.
Good afternoon,
Good evening.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, City Manager, Randy. I just want to comment on the fireworks this year. I've watched them for 25 years over there at Casden Park. Every year they get better. Every year. It's, it was just fantastic. Second thing is supposedly the bids came in for Casden Park, and I was wondering how they came out. They were supposed to be in July, according to the minutes of the meeting in May.
Thank you.
I thought I'd just explain that to you. We're still working through some permitting issues that came up that extended the process a little bit longer than we thought.
Okay, thank you.
And Councilman Kent is here. I've already messed up because I promised him he could go first if he had time to show up and give us an update tonight. But Ambassador Leary filled out the first card, so I had to.
Troy doesn't mind getting trumped by Ike.
But anyway, some exciting news, I believe, from Councilman Kent tonight.
Mayor, Commissioners, I would have been disappointed if you let me go before Ambassador Leary. You know, he's a tough act to follow, but he's a wonderful human being, and he knows how I feel about him. Mayor and Commission, I come before you tonight in the residents of Ormond Beach. By the way, hey Joyce, hey Randy, Sean, good job. I come before you with some news that your Volusia County Council made a vote today that, in my opinion, is the most impactful vote for our beach and our residents in 36 years. By a supermajority vote, because it took a supermajority vote to make this happen, a 5-2 vote, your county council, and I want to publicly thank Jake Johansson, David Santiago, Jeff Brower, and Don Dempsey, because they voted with me as the 5th vote to give all Volusia residents, starting October 1st, free access on their beach that they already pay for with their vehicles. So not only do they have a dog-friendly section of the beach where our residents and visitors can bring their dogs, but now you already pay for that beach in your property taxes to the tune of $17 million. And I always thought it was unjust and unfair for our residents to have to pay twice. So now you don't have to pay twice. All Volusia County residents, you will be able to register. If your vehicle is registered in Volusia County, you will be able to register, and you will be able to park on the beach at no extra charge, and you will be able to park at the off-beach parking, no extra charge. In my opinion, it is the most impactful, positive news for our beaches, like I said, in 36 years. I will tell you there's a sunsetting clause, January 1st, 2026, because the council wants to make sure that this makes good financial sense. I can tell you this was my plan that they adopted, and with this plan, it brings in an additional $6+ million that the county currently does not have. And if anybody's wondering, the lost revenue from the residents of Volusia County is $1.4 million. So my plan brings in an additional $6+ million, not on the backs of Volusia County taxpayers, but on the visitors who we want to come, but your free lunch days are over in Volusia County. You can come and enjoy our beach, and we don't want you to leave trash, but currently that's happening from time to time, and our people, our residents, are paying to have that cleaned up. We're just asking people to pay their own fair share, but the residents, you've already paid it. Thank you, Mayor. And I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
Mayor?
Commission, any questions? I love the line, we're going to pick up your trash, but we're not going to pick up the bill for it.
That's right.
They're going to pick up the bill.
That's right. I'm happy to answer any questions if you
Deputy
have.
Mayor Briley.
Mr. Mayor, only if it's appropriate, I just want to thank and commend Councilman Kent. This was I know that without bringing politics into this, but I know this is something you campaigned on. I know people thought it was going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to get done. And I think it just speaks to your leadership on the county council and your representation of Ormond Beach, and I want to thank you personally. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ditto.
Deputy Mayor, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Perkins.
Commissioner Tomlin.
Yep, just proud that you represent us at the council meeting. You have been going after it the second you walked into the land, and I really appreciate your tenacity and what you've done for the residents and for the county. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My wife Heather's in the audience. Heather, I'm just going to start coming to these meetings more often. On a serious note, Mayor and Commissioners, thank you for your support, because as you know, this is not a one-person show. You have to have help. And that's why I mentioned those individuals this morning. It had to be a supermajority. I got it with 5-2 because there were 2 that voted against this, but I got it with 5-2. And we are going to make sure that this is wildly successful and just a great thing for our community. But all of you have supported the initiatives that I've brought forward for Volusia County, and I say thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Commission, the minutes from the City Commission meeting, regular City Commission meeting of July 23rd, 2024 have been sent to the Commission for review, also posted to the city's website. Any additions, deletions, or corrections?
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no, and we'll show those passing unanimously. We are now on the consent agenda, and the action proposed is stated for each item on the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to pull any item?
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please call the vote.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. And I will open the public hearings. Ask our clerk to read 7A.
Ordinance number 2024-08, an ordinance of the City of Ormond Beach relating to comprehensive planning, adopting a 2024 water supply work plan, adopting comprehensive plan amendments to the City of Ormond Beach comprehensive plan related to the water supply work plan, including the utilities element, conservation element, and capital improvements element, in accordance with Chapter 163, Part 2, and Chapter 373 Florida statutes, providing for transmitting copies of the notice and amendments to the state reviewing agencies, the Volusia Growth Management Commission, the County of Volusia, and any other local government or governmental agency requesting a copy, providing for public hearings, providing for conflicting ordinances, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2024-08, read by title only.
Thank you. This is a second reading. As the clerk stated, I do not have any cards on 7A.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or other questions? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 7B.
Ordinance number 2024-16, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, District and General Regulations, Article 6, Overlay Districts, Section 2-71, Historic Districts and Landmarks of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code by amending the name of the historic landmark at 38 East Granada Boulevard from the McDonald House to the Stout McDonald House on the historic landmarks list, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for severability and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2024-16, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan. I don't have any cards.
Move approval. Oh,
I move approval of ordinance number 2024-16.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion or questions? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 7C.
Ordinance number 2024-17, an ordinance approving the final plat for the Archer's Mill Phase 2 subdivision shown within Phase 3 of the Plantation Oaks planned residential development, establishing conditions and expiration date of approval and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2024-17, read by title only.
Thank you. And again, I don't have any cards.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 7D.
Ordinance number 2024-18, an ordinance approving the final plat for the Archer's Mill Phase 6 subdivision shown within Phase 3 of the Plantation Oaks planned residential development, establishing conditions and expiration date of approval and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2024-18, read by title only.
No cards.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 7E.
Ordinance number 2024-19, an ordinance approving the final plat for the Tides Edge at Ormond Beach subdivision, establishing conditions and expiration date of approval and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2024-19, read by title only.
Thank you. No cards?
Move approval of ordinance number 2024-19.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 7F.
Ordinance number 2024-20, an ordinance amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the City of Ormond Beach by amending the future land use map to change the designation of 1.33 plus or minus acres located along Benton Street, north of Atlantic Road, Volusia County parcel numbers 3136-01-34-0220 and 3136-01-01-0022 from medium-density residential to low-intensity commercial, providing for conflict, authorizing transmittal, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2024-20, read by title only.
Thank you. The only card I have is Christopher Germana, the applicant, if necessary. And so, Commission, if there's any questions or
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of 2024-20.
Second.
any other discussion or questions? No. Please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. Christopher, thank you for being here. Jonathan Johnson, I do have one card from him on 7H Commission as far as the public hearings go, just so you're aware.
Okay.
7G.
Ordinance number 2024-22, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, District and General Regulations, Article 6, Overlay District, Section 2-71, Historic Districts and Landmarks of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code by adding the property at 78 East Granada Boulevard, the gardens at the Ormond Memorial Art Museum to the Historic Landmarks list, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for severability and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2024-22, read by title only.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. 7H.
Ordinance number 2024-23, an ordinance granting the petition of Ormond Crossing West LLC for establishment of a community development district pursuant to Chapter 190 Florida statutes, creating and establishing the Ormond Crossings West Community Development District, providing for names, powers, and duties, providing description and boundaries, providing initial members of Board of Supervisors, providing severability, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2024-23, read by title only.
Thank you. And Commission, I will ask our Planning Director, Stephen Spraker, just to give us a little background on this item.
Good evening, Stephen Spraker, Planning Director. Ormond Crossings was approved with a development agreement that started in 2010. That development agreement was amended in 2017. The zoning for the area was established in 2013, and the vision was 3 areas. One was a commerce park that provided jobs and industrial opportunities. The second was a town center. And then the third was a residential area of about 2,950 units. So this was the concept of Ormond Crossings. In the original approvals, there was a vision that they could use community development districts to aid in the financing of the improvements. As the staff report indicates, the community development district established in Florida statutes, it's a financing tool used to make improvements and maintenance for development-related items. These would include roads, drainage systems, park and recreation areas, and landscaping. The community development district, if established, can't take any action inconsistent with the city's comprehensive plan, land development code, so they don't establish land use regulations. Again, it's a financing tool. An important note is that no bond, debt, or obligations created by the community development district shall constitute a debt on the city. So they're a separate entity. This is the land area. It is the residential portion of Ormond Crossings that they are seeking the community development district. This is the same map, just in a address format. Staff is recommending approval. We found it consistent with the Florida statutes, and the applicant is here if you have any questions.
Thank you. Stephen, any questions for Stephen?
I just have
Commissioner
one. I'm just trying to understand, why would you choose just the residential, and how do you choose which one you want to make a district like that.
Sure, and there may be other community development districts that come in the future. So right now, the residential is under contract through Meritage Homes. So they are the developer of the residential areas.
Got it.
Meritage does not control the town center nor the industrial. So as those two phases get established,
to us.
they may have additional community development districts, which again, helps with the infrastructure and helps with the maintenance.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Great question. Thank you. Commission, any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Johnson, I'm guessing you're with the applicant. Did you want to speak, or?
Thank you. Jonathan Johnson, 107 West College Avenue, with the law firm of Q-Tech Rock for the applicant. Only wanted to speak to A, thank your staff for all the hard work that they've committed to getting us to this point, and to B, just also let you know I'm available if you have questions. We don't plan a formal presentation tonight, but if you have any, I'd be happy to answer them. And Commissioner Tolland, as to your question, we do expect to come back with subsequent petitions for those areas as we move forward in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. All right,
Mr. Mayor, I'll move approval.
thank you.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes, and I will close the public hearings, and we will move to 8A.
Ordinance number 2024-21, an ordinance amending section 2.3-24 tie-down fees of Article 3 Aircraft Ground Operations of Chapter 3.3 Aircraft and Airport of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing severability and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2024-21, read by title only.
Thank you, and this is a second reading. Commission, any questions for the Economic Development Director, Brian Rademacher?
I move approval of ordinance number 2024-21.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. Resolutions, 9A.
Resolution number 2024-119, a resolution recommending denial of the removal of an historic tree located at 1510 North US Highway 1 and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2024-119, read by title only.
Thank you, and I'll ask Planning Director Stephen Spraker to speak on this item as well.
Good evening, Stephen Spraker, Planning Director. Kara Culliver, who's our city landscape architect, is going to provide the presentation tonight.
Great, thank you.
Good evening, Kara Culliver, City Landscape Architect, Engineering Department. This is the historic tree application. The site's at 1510 North US 1. This site is located at the corner, the northwest corner of Highway US 1 and Broadway Avenue. It's the old Tea Time golf cart site. And this is a photo that shows basically looking from US 1, looking south. This is the front of the property along US 1. Currently, the front of the property has a lot of impervious surface with some buildings. And then in the back here, this right here, this canopy is the historic tree that we're going to be talking about tonight. This is a photo of the historic tree. This photo is taken on the backside of the property where Flagler Avenue or Flagler Road is, and it's looking northeast. Just give you some reference, to the right of the photo is Broadway Avenue, and then to the left, abutting property, is a mobile gas station. And in front of the tree and in front of those buildings is US 1. This is a 37-inch historic live oak tree. 37-inch historic live oak tree. It's tree number 9. So right here is the 37. Also, this tree is 2 trees that are joined together. Tree number 8 is a 26 35-inch specimen tree. It's not historic. It's considered two trees because it forks below 4.5 feet. So it's two trees joined together. So basically you have the tree number 9, which is the 37, and the tree number 8 is the 26. Information, the applicant has requested, like to remove the 37-inch healthy live oak tree that's located on the vacant commercial property. This is tree number 9 that I spoke about. Per the arboricultural assessment report performed by Native Florida Landscapes, the tree is in healthy condition. This is a conceptual site plan. We've got US 1 here. At the bottom is Broadway Avenue, and to the rear of the property is Flagler. This is a fast food concept that shows a building, the retention in the rear, some parking. This is the historic tree, the 37 and the 26 that they would like to remove. The site also has, to the north, has an existing 44-inch historic tree that they're proposing to keep. So the recommendations, staff has recommended now because of the conceptual nature of the site plan. It's very conceptual. Staff understands that the location of the tree could impede future development. It's kind of at the midpoint of the site. If approved, staff would recommend these following conditions. Per mitigation chart A would require 11 4.5 caliber trees to be mitigated back on site. If the site can't support these trees, then they can be donated into the tree fund of $4,343. So this is our mitigation chart A. So this is how I got the number of 11 trees. A 37-inch tree removed requires to put back 7 4.5 caliber trees, and a 26 requires 4, so that's 11. And then it gives the dollar amount. So when you add those two together, that's how I got at the $4,000 amount that I arrived at. Also, staff approves if staff approves this, we also would like require that the 44 live oak tree be preserved. We'd like to have that preserved, as like shown on the concept plan. And also, with the final design, we would like to see more preservation of specimen trees taken into consideration. The site has other specimen trees, and we would like to, with the final design, we'd like to see more of those trees being preserved. So if anybody has any questions, I can.
Deputy Mayor Briley, and then Commissioner Persis.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, my only question, I guess, to Ms. Culliver is, so the applicant is only looking at taking down tree number 9, and I guess what's the tree number, is that tree number 8 that's next to it? The 44-inch oak is not in play at this point.
No, they're showing that tree to remain.
Right.
And, so we'd like to see it that way.
Right. But they haven't asked to take down the 44
Correct,
inches. Okay.
correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I just wonder, when something is built there, eventually I'm sure it will be, who will maintain the trees? I just wanted to ask you.
And the property owner?
The property owner
assume
will.
responsibility of
Usually,
the maintenance
okay.
of the site and the trees.
Okay, and what kind of, if they have to mitigate and put more trees, what kind of trees will go there? The same type that are removed?
Definitely would have to put back native trees. Practically like to see some of the trees be live oaks to put back what was lost. But yes, I'd like to see native trees put back. That site abuts our greenbelt buffer, 36-foot greenbelt buffer, so we require 60% of those trees to be native. So we would like to see native trees being put back.
Okay, and let's see. So, but the builder or the owner of the property is saying he would, for mitigation purposes, would put back 9, or has to put back 9, or 7.
They have to put back 11.
11. Okay.
Right.
Okay, and do you know if that's an issue?
Pardon me?
Do you know if that's an issue?
I don't think so. I mean, our code allows you to upsize trees because sometimes, that way we can have larger trees be put on the property. There's a tree requirement, but the mitigation is addition to the minimum tree requirement. So we can upside trees and they can get additional credit for those trees. I don't see it being a problem putting back the
Okay,
mitigated trees on the property.
right, okay. And I just have a comment, if this is the right time, Mayor, is that okay, or should I wait? I have a comment, but I can wait. I'll wait.
Okay, yeah, wait till
Thank you.
discussion.
Okay.
Did anybody on this side have any?
I just have a comment, I'll wait till discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I do have just a question.
Yes, sir. Deputy Mayor.
So Kara, the size of the slot is,
It's 1.36 acres.
okay. So if, let's just say that the applicant took down the 37-inch tree and replaced that tree with 11 live oaks. I mean, we can see by these live oaks, I mean, they like a lot of room.
Right.
My concern is if we plant 11 live oaks, are they ever going to get the chance to get the size of these on such a constricted site?
Well, I mean, I would allow other native trees, not just,
No, I understand. I
live
mean, we
oaks.
allow other types of trees.
There's other types of oaks that are more upright, the high-rise live oak, Chamard oak. There's other oaks, I want to see some oaks put back, but I would, if they want to put back other natives, that's fine too.
Because what I like to see is, I mean, eventually I'd like to see these live oaks, and it won't happen in my lifetime, but
Right.
be the size that these were in the right location. My only concern would be if we just put them too close together, they're going to get kind of crowded out.
I mean, the closest I would recommend putting them would be 30 feet.
Okay.
The trees in our back parking lot, our live oaks are about 30 feet apart.
All right, thank you.
Kara, before you go, can you leave the slide up that had staff's recommendations on there
Okay.
in case somebody wants to make a motion that's different than what's been provided to us? Absolutely. Okay. Yep, that's fine. Kara, and I've got Scott Vanacore and Parker Mitchenberg.
I'll go ahead and get started. Parker Mitchenberg, 1729 Ridgewood Avenue, landscape architect and civil engineer for Mr. Vanacore. Scott's purchased a couple of sites along the US 1 corridor, the old Wendy's, this site, trying to beautify the area. First off, Kara was right to recommend denial of a historic tree. We never like to take a historic tree out. So she had mentioned in her presentation, when you looked at the photos, it's pretty much paved with the golf cart place almost to the right-of-way line. So if you look at some of the projects that we've done, SR Perrott, the furniture store, Total Comfort, that's what a 36-foot landscape buffer looks like. So what's going to happen with this development is 36 feet of the existing pavement is going to be removed, and that's going to provide probably room for about 3/4 of those 4.5-inch caliper oaks or magnolias or elms. Scott could write the check for $4,300 into the mitigation fund, but we have a certain amount of diameter inches we've got to plant anyway, and I think what we'd like to do is, if approved tonight, we'll probably plant those 11 4.5-inch caliper trees. 6 or 7 or 8 of them will be in that front 36 buffer, spaced enough that they won't crowd. And then in the back along Flagler and along Broadway, without getting too long-winded, a couple of the constraints with the new I-95 US 1 ramp, driveway access has been looked at. So the driveway access to this site needs to be as far from the signal at Plantation Oaks Boulevard and Broadway. So you can see on the concept plan, currently the site has 2 accesses, approximately there, and then another one closer to the intersection. We'd be closing that one closer to the intersection. And then the county has indicated no access out to Broadway, which makes sense because there's not enough room for stacking at this intersection. So I think in conclusion, we never like to take historic trees, but this site, what you see there with the building, if this tree can't come down, it's probably going to remain there because it can't really be developed. So with that, I'll answer any questions, and I know, Scott, you want to come up and say anything.
Any questions for Parker? No. All right, thank you. Scott, you're good? All right. So Commission, some options obviously available. Who wants to go first? You had a comment. Commissioner Persis.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, Parker. Nobody wants to see a tree cut down. It's nobody wants it. Neither of you want it, and I know that. But, we are talking about an area that a lot of it is blighted. It doesn't look good. It does not, Ormond Beach doesn't represent what we want our city to look like. And I know Scott Vanacore is going to put 11 great trees there, maybe more, who knows. And I really believe that. We have to look at improving our area. That area right there by I-95 is growing. That's going to be one of the biggest areas that we have. I mean, right now, that's where the growth is, and we need to offer services to the people who live in that area, whether it's a drive-through restaurant or a Starbucks or whatever it might be, a bank. I'm not really sure what it might be. I think there's a lot of options, but I think I really want to say that I commend both of you for thinking outside the box, because we've got to move forward. I would not want to see that building remain there at all. And I do believe that, they're going to make it look better and put more trees in there. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Tolland.
Thank you. And thanks for that picture of putting the oaks along the US 1. I appreciate that. The one thing that we haven't really pointed out and I thought was really important, I forgot to mention, I did meet with Mr. Vanacore and walk the property at some point, and I just want to put that in the record, that I did have a discussion on the property. I really want to point out that 44-inch historic tree that's up against the fence. We had some personal discussions about it and how we could save that, and a lot of, back and forth. And the fact that that is preserved on an island, I think, is just wonderful, because that is right up against the gas station, or where all the U-Hauls are and all that. So I think that needs to be pointed out. Nobody likes, Mrs. Persis said, nobody likes to take down historic trees, and this commission knows more than anything how I always fight for native plants, trees, etc. But you have to be reasonable. You got to look at where these trees are and what you want to envision at the end. Right now we have a dilapidated lot, and I'm very appreciative that there's someone in the community that really wants to make it look nice and make it vibrant and make it useful. So I am very, very willing to take down the historic tree, the 36-inch in the middle of the property, so they can develop something nice. And I would definitely expect them to do some mitigation with that, and whether it's additional trees on that property or somewhere else, we can use trees anywhere in our town. So anyway, thank you for this project. I think it's going to be really nice, and I hope it moves forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Sargent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Finally, we have an opportunity to improve this corridor that has been dilapidated for many, many years. And I don't, as you said, Commissioner Tolland, I don't think any of us like to take down trees, but also we have to look at progress. And sometimes we have to do things for progress. And I did have, for the record, I did have communication also with Mr. Vanacore. But I also think we need to look at not just this property, but what Mr. Vanacore has done with at the county council meeting today, with donating $30,000 contribution for Regrow the Loop. And also, Mr. Vanacore has donated, how much land was it out on into land? Wasn't there a large parcel? Working on another deal. Thank you. So I think we have a resident who's been here for many years, giving back to this community, donating land, donating financial resources. To me, this is a no-brainer for progress in this area. And I just would like to say thank you to Mr. Vanacore for investing in this area, and I look forward to seeing what will come of it in the years to come. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Deputy Mayor Briley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will echo those comments. And I know that Mr. Vanacore is very invested in this community, has done a lot for this community. He and I as well did have spoken on this particular site, because this is, I mean, we came back, and Mr. Mayor, you'll remember this, at least 10 years ago, if not longer, with a kind of a gateway plan, because this is the gateway to Ormond Beach. When you go to you know, your GPS or whatever, and you type in even Daytona Beach, the exit that gets you off of, you're coming from north down 95 is the Ormond Beach exit there at US 1. So it is our gateway into Ormond Beach. I more than anyone probably, or you know, most, I'm a fan of grand old oak trees. In fact, I have one in my yard that my wife would love to see go away. And I fight her on it, even though my neighbor across the street thinks it's going to fall on my house and break it in half. But I have fought to keep that oak tree, and I'll continue to fight to keep that oak tree. But I don't like to see trees go away, but in this case, I mean, this is the redevelopment of our gateway to Ormond Beach, and I think I commend Mr. Vanacore for the work he's done up there, the progress we're seeing, and I think it's just want to help make the gateway to Ormond Beach much nicer. So
Thank you,
Mr. Mayor.
Deputy Mayor. And Scott or Parker, if approved, are you okay with staff's recommendations? Okay. Just wanted to double check on that. And I talked to Mr. Vanacore today too. I called him actually to thank him for, I think it was a $30,000 contribution to the Regrow the Loop. And I'm going to, in a few minutes, I'll ask Councilman Kent to come back and give us an update on what happened with that today. But that was regarding trees as well, if I remember correctly. But Commission, is there a motion? Sure.
I just want to mention that I did meet with Scott Vanacore as well.
Disclosure.
I just want to disclose that as well. And thank you again, Scott and Parker, for everything. Thank you.
Great. Commissioner Tolland.
Yeah, I just would like to make the motion. If we're good? All right, I'd like to make the motion that we accept resolution number 2024-119.
Second.
Well, that's denial.
No, that's, you want to.
Sorry, I
you
mean-
want to.
Sorry.
You want to deny.
I want to deny.
Okay.
I rescind that. Oh, my gosh, wouldn't that be
Okay,
terrible?
let's start over. We got too excited.
If you can put those
Yeah,
recommendations.
we don't usually have
back.
denials in here. All right, so.
Mr. Mayor, can I help you out here a little bit?
Please, Randy.
So, yeah, the resolution was prepared based on a staff recommendation. So what you want to do is just ignore that and make your own motion. So your motion would be
I can do that.
to grant the applicant's request to remove the double oak, the 37-inch and the 26-inch caliper trees. And then you can fill the gaps in with the staff recommendation for the mitigation. I think that's the essence of what you probably want to do based on what I've heard, but I'm going to let you make your motion, and I'll be happy to help you with it.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. So I will make a motion that we accept the proposed site plan with staff recommendations. It's not a site plan. What? Tree removal. But we want all of this.
Per staff's recommendation.
Per staff, with the staff recommendations as listed on.
Second.
Or I don't know. I need help, obviously.
I think what you're trying to do.
We wanted to say that we want to remove tree number 9.
What Randy said plus staff's recommendations.
Right.
What Randy said plus
Right, it's
staff
tree,
recommendations.
it's really two tree combined, right? So it's 8 and 9, the 37-inch and the 26-inch caliper trees. That's what you're approving to be removed, subject to the mitigation requirements of the staff, which is, replant the 11 4.5-inch caliper trees, and/or, if that can't be done, then there's the mitigation fund or some combination of that the staff will work out with the applicant.
So glad you're here, Randy. You
Glad
made
to
a
be here.
great motion. I second Randy's motion.
So do I.
Well, you have to make a motion.
You adopt it, and Commissioner Persis seconds it. I think.
Are we good?
Are you
Can we
comfortable with
move
that, Randy?
from this moment, please?
Clear as mud.
Thank you.
All right, Commission, any other comments? Yes, sir. Please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Briley,
I think yes.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Mayor Purtington.
Yes, and now we are
Oh,
at
Lordy.
reports, suggestions, and requests. But before we start that, I'm going to ask Councilman Kent to come up. I know there was something that happened with the regrow the loop issue. I just didn't understand all of
You're
it.
just taking away my spiel.
Uh-oh.
Just kidding.
No, taking all my comments away.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, we're only given 3 minutes to address you all, so I couldn't talk about my biggest issue ever, and then like my second biggest issue ever. So thank you for the opportunity. And Commission, I'll just tell you, before the council today was what are we going to do with Regrow the Loop? We had an 18-month pilot project, and it was wildly successful. There were over 447 residents that participated at the talks that were given. Whenever there were field studies, there were 100 residents that participated, and your council was given 2 options today. One was to hire a full-time person for the job, and the other one was to help this project continue with $10,000 per year and have staff help and assist, but allow the groups and organizations that are involved with Regrow the Loop, allow them to take control of this. I can tell you that our council is not about increasing taxes or bringing more people online to do a job. So I came out of the gate recommending the $10,000 option and staff participating and helping with the presentations. What we decided upon was that we are going to morph the program from Regrow the Loop into Regrow Volusia, so that this pilot project that happened in Ormond Beach and one of our most environmentally sensitive areas in all of Florida, the Loop. And by the way, I would be remiss if I didn't say what incredible partners all of you have been, your staff, Joyce, and a special shout out to Commissioner Tolland for you helping to grab this bull by the horns and running with it and showing up. You were mentioned specifically today, just so you know. The city of Ormond Beach was mentioned, and you were mentioned. I wanted you to know that. The council, we agreed to go with option 2 if the money doesn't come out of the general fund. So we gave staff their marching orders to come back to us with options on where that $10,000 a year can come from. And everyone, it was a 7-0 vote to continue the program, but it will be called Regrow Volusia, because there are other parts of Volusia County where, you know, the wheel's been created. So now we know what to do, and wonderful, great things as far as the good guys to plant, the bad guys to pull out of the ground, you know, the good flora that you want in your community, the pollinators that you want to try to attract. And I would also be remiss, and you've mentioned it a couple times, but he's in the audience. Scott Vanacore and his company, his brother, donated $30,000 to the kickoff of Regrow the Loop. And that money was used for trees and plants. And, you know, you're one of the guys that you have a business here and you live here, but it's because you live here, I think, that you love this community so much. And I just wanted to publicly thank you for stepping up to the plate, and also the sweat equity, because I believe you were actually involved in some of the actual planting. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that, but I wanted to thank, because I said it earlier, it's not a one-person show. You know, that's not how public service, as a good public servant politician, works. It is a team effort. And again, Ormond Beach, with Harold Briley, Susan Persis, Bill Partington, Travis Sargent, and Lori Tolland, you all 5 jumped on board immediately with that. And you, in my opinion, you helped set the tone for the rest of the county of how this should be implemented. And my last thing, Alan Burton is an amazing human being, and he wants a program called Regrow America. I'm not even joking, by the way. Like, I'm laughing when I say it. Heather, am I serious? I'm serious. His vision is Regrow America, that this incubator here that we did in our county and our city can be a blueprint for the rest of America. And I love that he dreams big like that. So, Mayor, I'm here to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Commissioner, any questions?
Just fantastic job, Councilman Kent, on everything you've done. 2 huge things today, which is just fantastic, but great leadership and to Commissioner Tyler as well on the Regrow the Loop. I think Regrow Volusia sounds phenomenal, and I look forward to, one question though, Councilman Kent. The $10,000 a year, what's the chances that could come out of Volusia forever?
So that's one of the questions. We were really looking at Echo.
Okay.
And we were kind of slapped on the hand a little bit.
Echo's nice, but then we got the Volusia Forever Fund sitting there too.
Right. So we've opened it up for staff to look at all funding options.
Right.
You know, because I think it was Councilman Johansson said, 10,000 is 0.00001 mils for us.
Right.
But he was concerned about the precedent it sets for any other group to come forward and say, hey, 10,000 a year, 10,000 a year, 10,000 a year. So.
Thank you.
And Commissioner, when you speak, would you help me with some of the names of all of the partners, like
I was
UF
just gonna-
IFAS, the Paw Paw Club, the Audubon Society,
You're naming them right
Dream
now.
Green Volusia,
Correct.
Vanacore Homes,
This Tomoka State Park was part of it as
the
well.
City of Ormond Beach.
City of Ormond Beach. So just to talk a little bit about what Troy just said. So this, we supported it as commissioners, but they used the library. They were very, our staff was very helpful with the AV equipment and all the things that we need to have those meetings. And the meetings of those partners were very well attended every time. It's not like you start out really strong and you end, with just a couple people still invested. But yes, those were the partners that were involved, and those relationships with those partners, these groups are now really talking with each other and looking at other projects that they can do together. It's revitalized a couple things. It revitalized the Scenic Loop folks. They kind of transcend the Paw Paw Society and a couple others, but they're actually doing surveys of actual tree counts on the loop right now. And as we know, trees, as much as we love them, still have a life. And they're big and historic, but they die. And you have to have young trees already in the works going. So that work is being done off, so it's all the offshoots of what this Regrow the Loop did. That's exciting. And also the Kiwanis Club, they're putting together a fund, a tree fund. And all of this wouldn't have happened unless Alan Burton talked to Troy Kent, and Troy Kent did his thing at the county level that he did. And it took one meeting, bringing a bunch of people together, and it took off. And I am so proud of this project and you, and now making it Regrow Volusia County. I mean, what a beautiful thing. So thank you.
Thank you for those kind words. And you're right, Commissioner, I don't know if I ever told you, but my wife and I happened to be in Outback, and it was campaign season, and Alan had more faith probably than I did that I was going to win the seat. And he said, when you win, you need to, enough of this save the loop, we need to regrow the loop. And I said, what are you talking about? And we had a meeting and sat down, and that was the genesis of it. But then you all jumped on board, and you see what happens when you work together? It's wonderful.
We're a great commission, that's why.
Yes, you are.
Nice. Commissioner Persis.
Councilman Kent, I just want to thank you for all you're doing for us. It's amazing. People all around town are talking about it. I love Regrow Volusia. I think that's perfect because there's so many areas that need attention in Volusia County, not just here, but of course we're all, of course, love Ormond just a little bit better, but it's wonderful for everything you've done. So I just want to thank you personally.
Thank you for that. I want you to know I get ribbed at every council meeting about Ormond Beach, by the way. They bust my chops every meeting about, is this going to be an Ormond?
Jealous.
Is this going to be an Ormond? Listen, they're great. They're great men to work with, but I take the ribbing. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
And we will, did you have something, Scott? it's up to the commission. It's not really what we
Absolutely.
normally do, but
Yes.
they seem willing to listen to you.
Scott Vanacore, 1450 North US 1. I also wanted to give a shout out to Lori. She spent countless hours with me up there, riding up and down the loop, looking at tree placements, where to place them. We ran out of water. At one point, she was instrumental in getting up there, get the county out there, the Parks Department, to water those plants and trees that we planted, so thank you. Troy, another big shout out to Troy and everything that he's done, but he forgot to mention something that we're also working on, and he revitalized, which was the possibility of the beach parking. So we had an idea long ago about trying to build a beachfront park at High Bridge. I don't know if any of you have seen on the weekends how High Bridge and A1A just becomes, terribly, cars everywhere, dangerous. So I had the idea of donating funds to build a beachfront park there and do something like that. It died. It fell on dead ears, and then Troy revitalized that. So now, with Dr. Brad Burball, the Volusia County Bunch, engineering and everything, we're working on revitalizing that and trying to build a beachfront park for parking and restrooms and stuff right there at the corner of High Bridge and A1A. But that was revitalized by Mr. Troy Kent, Councilman Troy Kent. So thank you, Troy.
I'll stay right here. Listen, I'll just say, I'm happy to help with that, but when you have somebody who says, I'll pay for it, right?
Yes, sir.
I'll pay for it, and we have the real possibility, and this hasn't really gone crazy public yet, but we have the real possibility of having, for the first time ever, High Bridge. You drive up there, there's, maybe 15, 20 spots on A1A, but the real possibility of having real parking with restrooms right there. We have a ton of Volusia County residents that live up in that area, and it's growing, not fast, but it's growing. Not too fast. Not too fast, Scott. We're growing at 1% or less in Ormond Beach, Scott.
It's owned by the sea.
Listen, I just wanted you all, because Scott brought it up, I'm glad to be a small part of it, but you have somebody who has not only a vision, but is able to make it happen. That's this man.
So we're working on that with the state of Florida. It's a long haul, but we've got design concepts in, so I just wanted to bring that up to you guys too. But it was mostly shout out to Lori and Mr. Troy Kent for revitalizing that. Perfect.
Thank you. All right. And now back on reports, suggestions, and requests. Heather, did you want to say anything? I'm just making sure. And we'll start with City Manager Joyce Shanahan.
Thank you. To be on the tree bandwagon, I'm here to report that last Friday, Alan Burton came into City Hall and provided a check for $10,000 on behalf of the Kiwanis Tree Fund that he would like to name the Peggy Johnette Kent Tree Fund. He gave that to the city, and he would like these funds to be used to establish a tree fund that would accept private donations. The donations would be used for native oak trees along the loop, including Granada Boulevard, Beach Street, and John Anderson. He would like one tree planted at Rockefeller Gardens and would like outdoor education classroom component as part of the tree planting. So we'll bring something back to you in the future. That was just the note that he gave us, so I think that's really exciting, another $10,000 to this effort. And we know Alan, and he really means, he puts his heart where he puts his money where his heart is, and he's, Chief Kiwanian, so we're really excited about that. So I don't have any more details than that, but that's great, exciting news. We've been here a long time, so I'll keep my comments brief. We're going to be having a public meeting on the comprehensive plan update. This is to gain residents' feedback. That will be on Monday, August 26th at City Hall from 5:30 to 7. And to compel some attendance, we're going to have an ice cream social for that. So I'm excited about that. We'll have several different stations that they can come and learn about different areas and areas that they are interested in. The end of summer, we finished our summer camp. We had over 200 campers this summer, and it was a wildly successful program. We're beginning our sports registration for the fall, and so we'll have flag football, volleyball, adult softball, and I'm sure baseball will be starting up soon. Also, I'm sure you'll be glad to know that a theme has been chosen for the Christmas parade, and it's Santa's Toyland. So that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Any questions for the city manager? Nope, thank you, Joyce.
Thank you. Good night.
Yep, we'll go to Assistant City Manager Sean Finley. Perfect. And City Attorney Randy Hayes.
Good night.
Thank you, Randy. And Commissioner Persis.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening again, everyone that's here. It's just so exciting. This meeting was very exciting to me. Some great things happened. So I can see everybody in the audience is kind of feeling good, and it's kind of a good feeling night. So just had to say that. I know school starts Monday, so I know a lot of parents are very happy that their kids will be going back to school. I guess it's probably meet the teacher Thursday or Friday. It's just an exciting time. I see Heather nodding her head out there. I know she's been hard at work in her classroom. Yeah, I understand. But it's, can't believe September is almost here. But I did want to mention something, and I want to refer to Mr. Jeff Boyle, that's sitting here right in the back. He sent us a letter about a shortage of lifeguards that we have in Volusia County. And it's very concerning to me as someone that grew up here, and I went to the beach every day in the summer of my whole life. My mother would say, go home and stay in front of the lifeguard. I mean, that was what I was told, and everything was going to be great as long as I stayed in front of the lifeguard. But it's really come to my attention that there aren't lifeguards at every single approach, at every single area that there needs to be. So my brain started thinking tonight when Councilman Kent said, gosh, we're going to get all this tax money, from people that have to pay to come to the beach. So I was wondering if maybe we could write a letter to the county and propose something about getting more lifeguards on the beach for, safety issues. That's all of our concern, are safety issues right here in Ormond Beach. And so I just want to thank, Jeff Boyle for mentioning it. I see Councilman Kent nodding his head. I do think it's an issue. I mean, we have so many people on our beaches, but there's no lifeguards. There used to be lifeguards all the time, and now there's just not very many. And I think the pay is low. I think there's a cell phone issue. I think there's some other issues that we could look into. But would you all agree to that we could maybe get a letter going?
100%. I think it's a great
I'm
idea.
not sure, just strategically, whether we need that or not, but Councilman Kent, I would ask him maybe to talk to the city manager, because I think they just hired a new beach safety director.
Oh, good.
And that may have been addressed. That may have been addressed this morning, trying to make more at appropriate places happen. If it's something that will help, I think we're all happy to do it, but I'd rather Councilman Kent have that discussion with Ms. Shanahan and then maybe bring it back to us, and they can work on wording and language and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes, I don't know, this council's a little touchy, especially when it comes to things that cost money.
Yeah.
And so being cautious, some things you just have to do, but, and I don't know if Mr. Boyle sent his letter to the council. Yes. He may have, okay. Yeah. So that's good, at least they're aware of it, but if you're okay with that.
Yeah, and okay. I just also wanted to mention that, let's see, there was a study done in surf-related fatalities in Florida. Ormond Beach is number 6, Daytona is number 3, and New Smyrna Beach is number 1. So it's not like, this is something, we have a situation, I think, that we need to deal with. And that was my main concern. I do have one other suggestion this is for Ms. Shanahan, if you don't mind me bringing this up tonight. There's some residents on South St. Andrews that are very concerned about speeding there. And I was wondering if there's any way we could get some kind of signage like they have on Melrose that might help better maybe stop some of these people from speeding in that area. Would that be possible?
We already have a radar feedback sign on
Right. I
City
knew that,
managers.
but maybe something different might help, because apparently they're saying that's not helping.
And I've also directed the chief to do directed patrols out there, and I
Okay.
wrote to Mr. Fitzgibbons and shared that with him. So maybe we could try that out for a couple of weeks and then see how
Yeah,
we do.
that would be great.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have tonight. I hope everyone has a great evening. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Briley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll try to be brief. It was a pleasure to attend the Volusia League of Cities dinner last week. Sheriff Chitwood was the speaker. Was very informative with some of the things going on. Of course, he discussed the Internet Cafe bust that was actually going on that week, and where some of the funds of that were going. He also discussed, too, what's kind of important to us, well, actually it's very important to us, is the vaping in the schools and what they're finding with the vape, traces of fentanyl, traces of, methamphetamine, so traces of cocaine. So he kind of briefed us on what they're doing there, but I thought it was a very informative speech from the sheriff. The only other thing I have, Mr. Mayor, and I just ask this, the Sunshine Law precludes us from speaking about a lot of things, so sometimes this is the only time we can bring them up and talk about them openly. This is something I'm kind of asking the City Commission's blessing for, and to mark your calendars for April 18th through the 22nd of 2030. I know that's about 5.5 years away, but it's something I'm asking this City Commission to bless, and that is Ormond Beach will celebrate its 150th anniversary on April 22nd of 2030. So I'd like to see basically what we would call the Ormond Beach Celebrates 150 Committee. And I've, kind of run through my mind as far as some folks that would be, some parties that would be interested and would probably participate. One being, obviously, Nancy Lohman. Nancy, I think she's, when you think of events and you think of community events, Nancy's always front and center. Doug Thomas was on the Centennial Celebration Committee back in 1980. So I think Doug has a little bit of history as far as, some of the events that were put on. Obviously, the Ormond Beach Historical Society, Ormond Main Street, the Ormond Beach Chamber of Commerce, the Ormond Memorial Art Museum, Oceanside Country Club, because that is the original, the golf course for the Ormond Hotel. Also, invite dignitaries from, it's not officially our sister city, but inviting dignitaries from New Britain, Connecticut, because Ormond Beach, before it was Ormond Beach, was New Britain, Florida, and it was New Britain because the people that came here and named the town were from New Britain, Connecticut. So I was thinking, maybe having a couple of days out at the airport sports complex, because we have a lot of room out there, be plenty of room for events. I know Mr. Thomas has talked about in the past and is looking forward to trying to having a Founders Day out in that area of the city. But maybe do 2 days or evenings, up at the sports complex, and then 2 days utilizing our four corners, culminating with a fireworks celebration at the end. So just something to discuss, see if there's any interest among the commission to move forward with something like this. And I do know that we would have community sponsors, community support, and a little bit of research shows that some of these organizations would be excited to be a part of this. So,
Who wants to comment first? Commissioner Persis.
Deputy Mayor Briley, I think it's a fabulous idea. I love it. I think it's something that we need to look into and maybe start reaching out, because it'll be here before we know it. Time passes quickly, and I think it's a wonderful idea. So I'm definitely in favor of it.
I think it's a smart idea, and usually when you have big events like this, you need a 5-year window. Just create a small task force that will identify all the stakeholders and then all the potential. Probably should include not just community people, but a staff point person as well. So it's probably a good idea to start looking at it and getting those things solidified. Great idea. Thanks for bringing that up.
Commissioner Sargent.
I'm good with it.
Yep.
Good idea.
Me too. Joyce, you got 5 years. You'll bring something back to us?
Yeah, in about 4.5. No, sure, we'll start working on it.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know, timing-wise, that's just such a long period of time. It's great to have plenty of time, but I think if you start with Robert and Stefan
They're great planners.
working on that, perfect. Perfect. All right. Commissioner Tom.
Stefan loves the idea.
Nice.
All right, well, again, Mr. Kent, you hit the ball out of the ballpark with the parking, the free parking on the beach. Thank you for that. Thank you for the Regrow the Loop. I had so many things. I was going to do an update on Regrow the Loop, but I didn't need to, so thank you. And I honestly think that the offshoots of the different relationships with all these partners has just been amazing, and it is very, very exciting. Some of you have some T-shirts in front of you, and just as a reminder, this is for the American Heart Association walk that'll be in the fall. If you have not joined online, you go to the American Heart Association, you join the team I Love Ormond. It's open to staff, it's open to residents. It's a cool initiative for us to be present there. Obviously, you don't have to. You're not obligated, but it would be fun. And if anybody would like a T-shirt, I'd be happy to order you one. Just tell me your size. Let's see. We are blessed to have Mr. Vanacore in our community. Thank you for everything that you've done. I did not know about. I was not able to go over to the meeting this morning, but your generosity is very much appreciated. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. And just want to pick up a little bit on what Mr. Larry said about Casson Park. We have been dragging our feet a lot, and I'm sure there's a reason we're dragging, but I feel like where are we exactly, and what can we expect?
We're in the finalization phase of getting it permitted. We've ran into a couple issues. Right-of-way issues, some stormwater design issues. So
Okay.
It's not that it's for lack of momentum, it's for additional steps that have been placed in front of us here. So I have every intention to bring it back as quickly as possible. I'm still hopeful that we'll bring it before yet this month. We're hopeful to bring it for disposition of the bid at the next meeting, but if for some reason we don't, we certainly will have an explanation for everyone why we aren't.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. It feels like an eternity, but I know things do move slow. So thank you, everyone, and everyone have a good night.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sargent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to start off with, for us to keep the law enforcement community in Lake County in our thoughts and prayers for the fallen officer that was shot and killed in the senseless ambush, and 2 other officers for their speedy recovery. With Casson Park, is there any way we can, a couple months ago, there was a volunteer group that did these oysters to help the water quality. Is there any way we can incorporate, maybe get this group involved? It was, and see if we can incorporate that somewhere over and that maybe take off from there. I mean, we're talking about Regrow the Loop. Well, maybe we can expand this to our water quality out here in our river. I don't know if that's something we can just look at in the future.
One of the issues that we're dealing with right now is exactly that, was trying to get our stormwater so that we are improving water quality. There isn't a whole lot of stormwater out there right now, and so those are some of the things that we're trying to do. I've stated in the past that the concept of low impact development is kind of a past concept, because that's what you have to do with any stormwater design. But the design that we're doing is going to incorporate multiple things that will do that. We certainly want to be the model of environmental stewards with our design here, and so we have asked our engineers, Zevco and Associates, to make sure that we do everything we can. But there's other things that we can incorporate. Hopefully, we can make sure that it works and doesn't do anything that drags us out any further.
Certainly. Just something to add to, maybe.
Nope, thank you.
Additionally, I I guess I'll go on the victory lap with Troy Kent for a few minutes. Today at the county council meeting, once again, Troy Kent brought up when they hired Director Tammy Melfris, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. One of the comments that Councilman Kent said, I'm just trying to find it, was, sorry, I thought I had it on this email. He tasked her basically with, Mr. Boyle sent us all an email, and also to the county council, I believe the chairman, and to Councilman Kent. And Councilman Kent tasked her with hiring more lifeguards, making this happen not just in Ormond Beach, but from Ormond by the Sea all the way down to New Smyrna, getting it staffed with lifeguards. And he said, if it requires more funding, bring it back to me. I will approve it. I know he's only one of 7, but I think he has a good record going so far to move this one across the finish line as well. So once again, Councilman Kent taking something by the, a resident sent an email, first meeting since then, he addresses it. And I think there is, I don't know if we need to send a letter, because I think he already directed their staff to move forward and bring it back to make it happen, basically. I think that's a priority. Gosh, in 2 years, what you've gotten accomplished out there. It's been a lot. We're very fortunate for your leadership, and I know your mom's looking down and very proud of you. Also, I know that, and I don't know if we need to discuss this tonight, but Champion Field, I don't know if we need to direct staff to talk to school board to get clarification on this, or what needs to happen just to kind of move this along. If something's going to happen, just so we can have some more clarity of the involvement with the school board. So I don't know if there's anything that we need to do, or.
Right now, I think that they have indicated they're going to put forth some money. I think the key issue is, what does the agreement say?
Yes.
And that we need to protect Ormond Beach's interest throughout the construction process, because as we often know, change orders happen, projects get delayed, and oftentimes that adds up to more money. So I'm happy to have a conversation with the superintendent about this issue. And I think that it'll be paramount that we draft an agreement that supports Ormond's interest and preserves our contribution to this field and future maintenance for this field. I would not recommend doing anything to the existing agreements that we have with the county schools on a variety of properties, because I think we renewed that about 3 years ago, and I think it's in relatively good shape. But I think we need a whole separate agreement for Championship Field. And I have had discussions with School Board Member Persis about this issue and shared my thoughts on that. So I appreciate that, and we'll continue to work forward on that process.
Thank you. And yes, I don't want to rush in anything. We definitely need to protect the residents of Ormond Beach and make sure that the school board is contributing their fair share to this. And I guess I'll just leave off with Mr. Vanacore, thank you for all you do for this community, and thank you, Councilman Kent, again. You can go home now. I'm sure it's been a long day. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Joyce, did I understand the community engagement meeting on the 26th, there will be ice cream?
There will be ice cream. That's our enticement for you all to come.
Because I saw the announcement, I guess, on Facebook, but it didn't say anything about ice cream. I mean, if you're, did it? Where at?
Is it from Neighborhood?
It is from. Is that when you scan the QR code, or because I don't? Oh, in the other. Okay. I think you should make it as well known as possible. I mean, it's so hard to get the community to come out anyway. So anything we can do to entice them to come out, particularly if it benefits Neighborhood Scoops, who's been a good community partner with the Kiwanis Reads program and all those kind of things. I think
We'll make sure we do an ad in the Observer as well.
Perfect. The only other thing I had tonight was I got a great flyer. Hopefully you got this too, Commissioners. It was in my mail from the Ormond Scenic Loop and Trail. And I love the one quote on here. It says, "The Ormond Scenic Loop and Trail traverses some of the most beautiful and diverse natural scenery remaining in all of coastal central Florida." So, and then there's a QR code. I don't know if we have this on our website or if we can put a link to it on our website so people, I mean, it's not all in Ormond Beach. A lot of it's in Volusia County, but some of it is in Ormond Beach, and we're proud of those parts of it. So helping them, they're part of the Florida Scenic Highways Program. FDOT is involved with that as well. It's separate from the Regrow the Loop, but I think they're somewhat connected. So just wanted to highlight that, and I'll leave that with Susan Joyce. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much.